Hello, everybody. It is Monday night. It is 6 o'clock, or rather, just after 6 o'clock. Sorry about that.
That was my fault.
We had a delay. Um, but nonetheless, it's Monday night. It's 6 ish. So that means it is time for AEW Weekly. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
It's April 1st, April Fool's Day. I don't have any fake news for you. Sorry. Um, we don't have any funny fake news for you. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah. So only real news on the show tonight.
You gonna introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, I should. Yeah. I should start that right. So I'm Asa. I used to be an independent wrestling manager for a very short time, like 20 years ago. Believe it or not, I'm older than I look. And this is my permanent co-host, Kay Fabulous here.
Hey.
And she will be doing her Kay Fabulous fashion do's and don'ts later in the show, as she always does.
Can I just give context to that for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
So since Asa mentioned that he used to be an indie wrestling manager, I have not had anything to do with the pro wrestling profession. But I was a costume creator. I went to school for costume technology, and so I've worked in costuming at Universal Studios Florida and at various college and other productions. And so that's why I do a fashion segment, because I love costumes.
And so we will start off, as we always do, with a recap of the week's shows. And we will start with AEW Dynamite from March, what was it?
27th.
27th.
I believe.
And we started off with Will Ospreay versus Katsuyori Shibata. And holy cow, this match was awesome.
It's like the coolest way they've ever started a show, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They've started the show with some really good matches before, so I don't know if I can say definitely. But it's one of the coolest, that's for sure. Both guys were just on it. Ospreay is always, he's the best wrestler in the world right now, I think. Katsuyori Shibata, a lot of people thought he used to be the best wrestler in the world. He's certainly not now, but he can still break out some shit, and he did in this match, and it was just a fantastic match. The two guys went back and forth. Ospreay won after hitting the Hidden Blade. I gave it 4.5 bones out of 5. Just a terrific way to start the show.
Can I add one thing about that?
Okay.
So I think it's really cool who they've been booking Ospreay with. Because I feel like during this match, like, he and Katsuyori Shibata have such vastly different styles of wrestling that I was very curious how this match was going to go. And I think it's just really cool that they've been pairing him with opponents all with pretty different styles to kind of showcase Ospreay's versatility in the ring. Because I didn't know if this was going to seem like a Will Ospreay match, like if he'd have to change his style to be that of Shibata's, but instead he just like changed up his style a little bit, but like it really complemented Katsuyori's really well.
Definitely. After that, they did a Bryan Danielson hype video, which was pretty cool. And then the Young Bucks were with Renee, and Matthew Jackson talked about them avenging their tournament loss to Private Party years ago. If you remember that, years ago, they did the first World Tag Team title tournament, and the Young Bucks were pretty much the top team in the tournament. Everybody thought, or a lot of people thought they were going to win the tournament, but they did not give themselves the belts right off the bat. And even better, they booked themselves to lose in the first round, or rather, they and Tony Khan booked themselves to lose in the first round to Private Party. And that was years ago, when 2019 or 2020, whenever they started the tag belts. So I guess it was probably 2019. I don't know.
And that really helped launch Private Party's careers to greatness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being sarcastic. They haven't done anything.
Oh, well, it did for a while. Oh yeah, I guess.
What have they done? That was a huge deal, and then and nothing. I realized Mark Quinn was injured for a while, and so they put Isaiah with the Hardys, and now they seem to be using them, but had them lose.
Yeah, I hear you. They're kind of stuck.
Yeah,
kind of stuck. I think they need to ditch that gimmick. I hate the gimmick.
I also hate the gimmick. But I don't feel like the gimmick's for us.
No, it's not for us.
We don't go out of our house. We don't go drinking or clubbing or doing anything that young people do. So I think the gimmick serves a purpose. I do like the velvet rope and the bouncer. That's a very nice touch.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. So I don't know if the gimmick's the problem. I don't know, but they just seem kind of stuck, whatever it is. But nonetheless, Private Party got the win years ago, and they're facing the Bucks. But before that, the Continental Champion Okada arrives in a red Ferrari. It's pretty cool how they're having him show up. He kind of seems like the boss in a video game, the way they're having him show up in a red Ferrari. And then we had the Bucks and the Private Party, and this time the result was different, as the Bucks won with the EVP trigger. Pretty good match. 4 bones out of 5 I gave it. Good match as the Bucks move along to the semifinals and Private Party are eliminated.
I would like to note that Nicholas Jackson slipped while doing that final EVP trigger.
Oh, right.
And then one of the announcers, I forget who it was, I think it might have been Taz, but he was trying to pawn it off as a modified EVP trigger when I was like, the dude just slipped,
I think it was with tongue in cheek. He was saying that. Next, we got a Swerve versus Takeshita hype video, because they're fighting in the main event of this Dynamite for #1 contender for the world title. Then Mercedes Moné arrives. Am I saying it right?
I think so.
Moné?
It seems like every person I meet says it slightly differently, but she pronounces it Moné. I don't know.
Moné?
I think most people are going to say Monet.
Moné?
But she says Moné.
She says Moné.
She says Moné.
And Moné. She arrives, and that's a big deal there. And then Chris Jericho and Hook are with Renee. And Chris Jericho, he praises Hook and tells him how great he is and all this. And he's wonderful. He's off to a great start in his career. And Chris Jericho says he's not going to be his manager or anything because he's not that old yet. And this and that. Chris Jericho, he offers his advice. He says he'll always be there for advice. Whenever Hook needs it. And so Hook's like, all right, that's cool. Yeah. So they move on. We're going to talk about that some more later.
Good. I have some questions.
Yeah. Up next, we had a 4-way #1 contender match for the TBS title. Willow Nightingale, Anna Jay, Chris Statlander, and Sky Blue. And Willow Nightingale won the match. Decent match on the part of Nightingale, Statlander, and Sky Blue looked good. Anna Jay did not look good. She is not good. I gave this match 3 bones out of 5. Anna Jay really kind of took some steam out of the match. She's not very good at selling anything. So it really takes you out of the match. If you're paying any attention to her after she gets hit with a move, she just doesn't sell it. I don't know what the deal is there, but I don't know. She's terrible. If you've been following this show, I have a long time. She's at the bottom of my list, pretty much on the women's roster of AEW. Anna Jay. Nothing personal, but she's just a terrible wrestler.
She's not even on my list. At least she made the bottom of yours.
Yeah, she's bad. But Willow Nightingale wins. So we're gonna have Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale at AEW. What's it called?
Dynasty.
Dynasty, right? Dynasty. And after Nightingale wins, TBS champion Julia Hart arrives. She hits Willow from behind, and then she runs away with Sky Blue. Up next, we have Dustin Rhodes cutting a promo with Renee, and the Butcher walks up, and they say they exchange some words, and it's not a very good promo. And they make a match for Rampage this week. Kay, do you have anything to say about the promo?
It was terrible. It was a terrible promo. It was like, it was like WWE from like the early '80s when then they would get like Sid Vicious or like someone who
late '80s.
Late '80s. My bad, late '80s. Where it felt like he was just like reading lines. You actually know what it reminded me of in Iron Claw when what's the main guy's name?
Kevin Von Erich.
Oh yeah, when he's like recording his promos, all of the takes that they have to tape over, that's what it reminded me of. It was like bad takes. Like they should not do that live with someone who can't do a promo. It was like reading off a sheet of paper.
Well, but that's the thing. Dustin is pretty good at promos, I think. But this was an exception.
Yeah, I mean, well, but I'm talking about the Butcher. I mean,
oh yeah,
Dustin at least had some sort of inflection in his voice. Like, I mean, the Butcher could have been reading a recipe. Like, it was just meaningless. Like,
yeah, it was not.
Yeah,
it was not good. Not good at all.
Especially like since he has such a presence that you expect when he says things for his words to have impact. You don't expect like.
Yeah, no. Just, if it were, and one thing to give credit, if it were WWE, this guy would have a presence. You know, this big, tough guy would have a presence. They would make sure to let you know he had a fucking presence. They'd beat you over the head with it to let you know he had a presence.
Yeah.
But here they can't even establish he has a presence, and that's one thing that AEW needs to do better is in these backstage segments. You know, when they have people interrupt or whatever, they need to make sure everybody's energy is where it needs to be in the segment. Because if it's not, it really it hits a point, and it's just that you hit a point and it drags down the segment, and then the viewer is not thinking about the segment anymore. They're thinking about, well, that was weird. You know, they're thinking about how weird that was, and they're kind of ignoring the rest of the segment. You know,
that's
worst. The way I feel.
It was the worst thing I've seen on AEW television since they redid that promo 2 weeks in a row. You know, the Adam Cole Undisputed Kingdom promo that they ran essentially the exact same thing back to back on Dynamite. Yeah, this was the worst. It was not good.
Up next, we had Ben Minkowicz, I think. He was with AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm, and they had a short little comedy skit. He's the guy from Turner Classic Movies. He introduces a lot of movies. Then we had another Swerve versus Takeshita hype video for the main event. And then they talked a bit about the AEW World Tag Team title tournament. And then we got another tag team title tournament match. We got a group that they're calling the Best Friends. It's Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. And then they are facing the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, the Kingdom. And, of course, the Ring of Honor belts are not on the line here. Trent Beretta got the win with a rollover and a pin. And this was a good match. I give it 4 bones out of 5. And the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta, Best Friends team, they get the win, and they are in the semifinals. This just put together Best Friends team is in the semifinals now. After the match, the Best Friends went to hug those two and Chuck Taylor. Well, he was there. They went to hug, but the Young Bucks rise out of the floor at the top of the stage. They rise out of the floor to distract them and take their moment of victory away. So they're playing mind games with the best friends, and it did. It took their moment of victory from them. So
They did not get to hug.
no, they didn't. Up next, Kyle O'Reilly was with Renee, and he said he needs to prove that he belongs in AEW. Up next was the main event, and it was, as I said, it was the world title #1 contender match. Winner gets the shot at AEW Dynasty. It was a fantastic match, and Swerve Strickland got the win over Takeshita. I have a friend who says Takeshita, and now he got me saying it in my head.
I will correct you every time.
Takeshita. Konosuke Takeshita. And Swerve hit big pressure, and he got the pin and the win. So Swerve is the new #1 contender. We're getting Samoa Joe versus Swerve 1-on-1 at Dynasty. And this match I gave 4.5 bones out of 5. So this was the match of the night on AEW Dynamite. The main event was the match of the night. And Swerve Strickland back in the world title picture. So are we going to see Swerve win the belt now? I kind of feel like we are.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like we are.
Me too.
All right, so we had Collision.
Wait, you gave Takeshita and Swerve match of the night?
Yeah.
Over Ospreay and Shibata.
Oh. I'm sorry. I forgot that they were on the same program. I apologize. I take it back. I take it all back. I'm sorry. Match of the night was Ospreay and Shibata. I apologize. I forgot they were on the same. I forgot I was still on the same show.
Do you want to just go ahead and give them match of the week?
Ospreay and Shibata was match of the week. It was
Yeah.
match of the night, and it was match of the week in AEW as well. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, forgot. So now we go to AEW Collision. Thank you for keeping me straight. Okay, I appreciate it. March 30th in London, Ontario, Canada. And the crowd for this was weird. They were into the show, definitely. But at some points they were, especially during entrances, they were very silent and kind of sitting on their hands and not getting up and moving around, and not much movement, not much cheering.
The ones on the floor would stand, but they weren't standing and cheering or standing and clapping. They were just standing.
Just standing, yeah.
It's very odd. It wasn't the same Canadian crowd we saw the previous week in Toronto, you know?
Yeah. But for some things, they did come alive. Mm-hmm. Like, once the match got going, they were pretty into it.
Yeah.
It sounded like. Yeah. So, I don't know what their deal was. It was strange. It was a strange crowd, for sure. Adam Copeland comes out first thing. TNT champion Adam Copeland comes out, puts out a challenge for the Cope Open, an open challenge. And out comes, to everyone's surprise, out comes the Lord of the Indies, or whatever you call him, Matt Cardona, the King of the Indies. Has belts. I don't even know how many belts he has. He has a bunch of belts from a bunch of different federations in the Indies. He came out and people were shocked, and the crowd in London was shocked. They were surprised by this, and we were too. We were on a watch along as well, and we were shocked by this.
It's one of the only holy shit chants I've heard before a match even starts.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. But so, yeah, we got it. TNT title match, Adam Copeland versus Matt Cardona. As surprising as it is. And Copeland pinned Matt Cardona after a spear. Won the match. And it's a good match. 4 bones out of 5. I gave it.
Matt Cardona's really improved since I saw him.
Since he was Zack Ryder?
Since he was Zack Ryder, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. He's different. Different wrestler, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Better timing, better sense of how to tell a story in the ring.
I mean, just everything
Yeah.
was better.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. The lights went off after Copeland got the pin. Malachi Black was in the ring. And fans go wild as you got Malachi Black with black viscous liquid dripping down from his mouth. And he's staring at Adam Copeland. And then from behind, of course, Buddy Matthews attacks Adam Copeland. And then Mark Briscoe comes down for the save. Eddie Kingston comes in. The lights go off again. And the House of Black disappear. And the faces stay in the ring talking. Kingston, Briscoe, and Copeland do. And then we head to the back where FTR are with Lexi Nair. And they're just talking about how they're in the World Tag Team title tournament and they want to win. And then next, Tony Schiavone invites Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed, the World Trios champions, into the ring. And Daddy Ass is pissed at Jay White for invading his home on Rampage. And we're going to see Daddy Ass versus Jay White at Rampage. And we're going to talk more about this feud in a bit too.
I think this was the most heavily they've ever relied on something happening on Rampage to tell a story on Dynamite or Collision.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like it took me a while to figure out what they were talking about because we hadn't seen Rampage yet, and so
they were definitely making big plays to get people to watch Rampage.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I just feel like maybe they could have like shown us a clip to be like, look what happened on Rampage. This is what we're going to talk about for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it was like if you missed them saying it happened on Friday, which like I did because we were on a watch along and people were talking, so I couldn't quite hear what was happening. It was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
Yeah, a clip would have helped. Yeah.
Because like Collision's audience isn't huge, but it is often bigger than Rampage's. So at least 20 or 200,000 of your viewers probably didn't see the show that you're referencing.
Next up, we had another AEW World Tag Team Title Tournament quarterfinal. It was FTR versus the Infantry. And we had Trish Adora come out with the Infantry. She's cool. I like her a lot. I think they need to get her away from the Infantry. I don't like her being with the Infantry, personally.
I'm okay with it as long as they start giving her like matches that aren't jobber matches in AEW.
Yeah.
Let her win. That would be nice.
Well, but she's now associated with the Infantry, who are jobbers in AEW. So yeah. I think get her away from those guys.
They did do the House of Black.
True. But that was supposed to be a shocking win.
It was
because they're jobbers.
Yeah.
So FTR, they hit the Shatter Machine on Carly Bravo of the Infantry, and they get the pin and the win. FTR are in the semifinals of the tournament, and the Infantry are eliminated. Up next, Lexi Nair is in the back with Big Bill and Ricky Starks. And that team, they guarantee a win over Top Flight. Up next, Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe are backstage. And Copeland challenges the House of Black to a 6-man tag match. And then Mark Briscoe talks about his match with Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor World title at Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor on April 5th. There's a pay-per-view this Friday, Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor.
Do you know if that's, is that only on Honor Club again, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just curious.
Yeah, no. But I can tell you last year, Ring of Honor did Supercard of Honor, same deal. They did it on WrestleMania weekend, and it was better than WrestleMania.
It was my favorite part of WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
And it remained my favorite pay-per-view for a good part of the year. Don't sleep on Ring of Honor pay-per-views. They're awesome.
So I don't know what other matches are on this show, but Ring of Honor, when it's time to do a pay-per-view, they fucking deliver.
Kyle Fletcher has a match defending his TV title, and I think the women's TV title tournament finals. Maybe I could be off. I think it's Queen Aminata versus Billy Starks.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to remember things I saw on Twitter, so I don't know how accurate these are.
All right. Up next, Kyle O'Reilly versus North Carolina's own J.D. Drake.
Of the Workhorsemen.
Of the Workhorsemen, yeah. Kyle O'Reilly wins via submission to an armbar. This was a squash match. After the match, Roderick Strong and the Kingdom come out to celebrate O'Reilly's victory with him, as they've been doing. And we're going to talk a little more about that later as well. Next, we have our next World Tag Team title quarterfinal with Ricky Starks and Big Bill taking on Top Flight. And this was the ending of the match was a little odd. Top Flight, they get the win. They get the upset win. But it was after a strange sequence where Ricky Starks was pinned by Darius Martin, and Starks didn't kick out. So Darius Martin had to jump off of him. And the fans then start booing because of what they've just seen. They know they've just seen something obviously phony. Fans don't like that. We like to suspend our disbelief, Yeah. We don't like it when the show becomes obviously phony. A lot of fans don't, at least. And then they went about 20 more seconds, and Darius Martin DDTs Starks and then pins him for the win. So I don't know what was up there. I know a lot of people said that Top Flight were not supposed to win this match, and they changed the ending. I don't think that's true. I'm not sure where people were getting that from.
The sources that we looked at, none of them said that.
Yeah.
At least from sources we trust.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I think people just kind of made that up on their own, and I think that's where that came from.
Yeah.
I don't think it actually came from I don't think it was based in reality at all.
No.
I think it's based, just in people's heads.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to save it for the news or talk about why Ricky didn't kick out?
We'll save it for the news.
Okay, we'll save it for the news. Stay tuned.
Christopher Daniels challenges Malachi Black for Rampage next. Like I said, they're really trying to get you to watch Rampage. After that, we have Thunder Rosa versus Lady Frost. And Thunder Rosa pinned Lady Frost after a Tijuana bomb. This is a good match. 3.5 bones out of 5. And 3.5 is good. It would have been better, but the match really wasn't long enough for anything for the two ladies to get cooking, And Lady Frost wasn't really given enough offense in the match to really even be able to rate it 4 bones out of 5. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing against the match. It's nothing against the women in the match. It's just 3.5 bones. The way the match was structured, 3.5 bones was like the best it could have been. It was just a standard TV wrestling match, kind of. It was good for what it was, though, for sure. Then we see Renee, and she is with Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Luther. And Renee announces next week there's a number 1 contenders match between Thunder Rosa and Mariah May. Toni asks Mariah, was this the plan all along? And then kisses Mariah May on the lips and calls her a magnificent bastard. So there was that. That was a very popular moment on Collision on Saturday. And then the announcers, they run down the upcoming card of Dynasty and of Dynamite next week. And then there's a Will Ospreay hype video that was pretty good. And then the main event of Collision, The Righteous and Lance Archer. Yes, that's still a stable. Although Jake the Snake Roberts has been MIA the last few times we've seen these guys together. Although
No, he was with them the last time.
not on Saturday.
No, not this past, but the last time we saw them as a trio.
Oh, okay.
And he came out with Lance Archer at didn't he come out with him at Revolution?
At Revolution,
Yeah.
he was with them, yeah. Okay. But I'm just saying, I don't know why Jake the Snake is sometimes there and sometimes not. And, I mean, is he his manager or isn't he? You know, what's the fucking deal? I don't get it. You know, you don't see Swerve sometimes with Prince Nana and sometimes not. He's with him. He's his manager. So why is Jake sometimes there and sometimes not? It makes no sense. I don't get it. Is Jake not allowed in Canada? What did he do? Is it, you know? I mean, is that what's up?
I mean, maybe. I hadn't really thought of that.
I don't know.
Maybe it was like his granddaughter's birthday or something. People have lives outside of their jobs.
The Righteous and Lance Archer take on Katsuyori Shibata, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson. And this was a fun 6-man tag. A lot of blending of styles. And Shibata hit a PK on Vincent for the pin and the win. The Righteous did a lot of selling for Shibata, Castagnoli, and Danielson. They did a lot of selling. They were just getting thrown everywhere by these guys.
Especially poor Vincent.
Yeah. Vincent got the shit kicked out of him in this match.
It was like, at one point, he just literally looked like a rag doll.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
He got beat up, man. Yeah, good main event. 4 bones out of 5. Solid way to end the night. Let's see. Match of the night on Collision. Let's see. I'm gonna have to go with the main event. Yeah, as the match of the night. Yeah, definitely. It was a fun 6-man tag. As the match of the night.
I liked Copeland versus Cardona better.
Oh, okay. All right. You can have your opinion.
I know, and I do. What's up next?
Up next is a segment that we call A Closer Look, where we're going to take a closer look at a certain star of AEW. And this week, that star is TNT champion Adam Copeland. So he has been killing it lately. He won the TNT title. He defended it against the King of the Indies. The fans love him. I love him personally. I like him way more than I ever did in WWF or WWE.
Me too. Do you think most people feel that way or no?
I don't think most people
so
feel
popular.
that way.
Like, I never disliked Edge. Or Adam Copeland when he was Edge. I just didn't get it. Like, I'm not a big fan of the spear as a move, and so when that's your finisher, which is still one of his finishers, but like you have to really sell me on your character if I don't care for your wrestling moves. And I feel like he's just stepped up his game character-wise and in the ring in AEW.
I mean, I was a fan of his when he was, well, we'll go back to near the beginning of his career. At first, in the very beginning of his major career. I mean, obviously he started in the Indies, but the beginning of his WWF career, he was just hiding out. Like you'd see him in an arena. You see him at the top of the arena stairs, you know, like where people come back from getting corn dogs and popcorn and whatever, where people come back and are looking for their seat and shit. He just would pop up there, like standing there,
Like lurking?
Lurking, yes, lurking.
Really
in a
weird.
trench coat with sunglasses, just lurking, just chilling out. And he was Edge, you know. He was cool, you know. That was his deal. He was cool. That's all we knew about him. And I don't know, that gimmick, it didn't really take, for me at least. I don't think it was working. I don't think most people gave a fuck about it. And then they put him in the Brood, and then I cared about him. When he became a vampire, that's when I cared about him. Or a vampire henchman, at least. You know, it was, I think he was a vampire, personally. He never got the fangs like Gangrel did, the leader of the Brood in WWF. So if you don't know, the Brood, it was Gangrel, which was Luna Vachon's husband, in reality. It was Gangrel, Christian, and Edge. Christian and Edge were his little manservants, and Gangrel was the vampire master. And they were a stable in WWF in like 1998, 99 called the Brood. And they were awesome while they were around. And they came out holding a chalice of blood, and Gangrel would drink it and spit it into the crowd during his entrance. Yeah. And so they were cool. Anyways, we're getting off track. I just want to mention that Edge used to be a vampire.
That's all. Noting.
Yeah, I just want to mention that. But Adam Copeland, as he is now, yeah, I like him better now than I ever have. And so, you know, we asked why, and we were talking about it the other night, where we both feel that way, that we both like him better than we liked him in WWE. And so we asked why, and you know, I said, you know, it's because he's real now, and I think that's the answer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought of that, and it took me a minute to kind of like think about it when you said that, but yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. And I think that makes sense too as to why his promos feel so authentic now. You know, it's not that he's necessarily suddenly become a better actor. It's that he's talking to us on a level that I think he can really connect with, and it's coming across very clearly in this performance.
Yeah, it's easier for him to quote get there, to get into that place, because he's living it, you know.
Well, and he's not scripted. Isn't WWE scripted their monologues?
Yeah.
So I think that has to be a huge part of it, because it's so different when you're the character and you can say your own thoughts from that character's perspective rather than saying what someone else gave you that you might not necessarily even agree with, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's a big part of it, is the creative differences between the two companies is a big part of it. And that's a big part of why I'm sure he left WWE to finish his career in AEW. And he's made it very clear that he intends to finish his career in AEW. In interviews that I've seen, he's made it very clear that's where he intends to retire. He likes it. He loves it there. And I'm sure part of it is just what we're talking about, that he gets to be himself. He gets to talk however he wants, and how he wants to, apparently, is like very much like himself, who he is. You know, kind of an elevated version of himself. You know, the superhero version of himself, but like, you know, his own feelings and that type of thing. And it's really has worked in this feud with Christian, definitely. And man, yeah, the crowds are going wild for him, and it's working on a different level than maybe other wrestlers who are really clicking right now. You know, like Will Ospreay. who is really awesome and is super over right now. But the way that Ospreay is super over is very different from the way that Copeland is super over.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And I think too, because like we're coming at this from two very different perspectives. Because you were there for all of the history between Edge and Christian when he was still Edge.
Mm.
And I wasn't. So like I knew that they were in that ladder match, that TLC match with the Dudleys and the Hardys.
Those matches.
But that's the extent of what I knew about Edge and Christian going into this. So I feel like from an outsider's perspective, like that doesn't have this like 40 years of wrestling history in my knowledge base, I think they did a really good job building that story in a way that wasn't repetitive for people who knew the history, but also didn't leave those of us that don't know the history in the dark. Like the feud still made sense, and they gave us like enough pieces of it without being able to show us pretty much any footage because it all belongs to WWE. Mm-hmm. I feel like they did a really, really solid job building that story for people at any level of wrestle fandom, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Well said. But another thing that has allowed him some creativity while he's been there is the Cope Open, where he has he's been allowed to choose who he wants to fight. And it's led to some very interesting. I mean, he's fought Griff Garrison from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He fought him. He fought. Who else has he fought in this? In the Cope Open, I was trying to think. You can't name anybody right now.
I haven't really thought about it in a while. He fought Daniel Garcia, didn't he? In a Cope Open. No,
I don't know.
I don't know either. He fought a bunch of people.
But anyways, he can fight who he wants to fight, is my point. And this week, he fought Matt Cardona, which, wow, that's such a neat thing for them to be able to do. To just pick Matt Cardona out of thin air and just bring him to AEW for 1 week to face Adam Copeland. That's very cool. So the Cope Open, I'm enjoying it.
I can't believe we can't name any people in the Cope Opens. That's bad. They were all like younger guys. It was one of them from Top Flight, Dante.
Yeah.
Dante Martin.
Dante Martin.
I got one.
Anyways, where was it? What was I saying?
You had finished your thought.
No, I hadn't.
That sounded like it. I'm sorry.
No, I hadn't. Thank you.
I'm sorry. You were saying that he was able to face all of these opponents in the Cope Open.
Oh, and that's the thing, when you got somebody like Edge, Adam Copeland, who's a legend in this business now. He's still wrestling. He's a legend already. And there aren't many of those, maybe he and Chris Jericho. That's about it. Who are legends and are still wrestling. Rey Mysterio.
Dissing on Christian, huh?
I don't know if I don't know. I just don't put Christian in the same light as him. I just don't know why. I just don't see him in the same light.
I wouldn't either, and I think it's because his solo career in WWE was bigger than Christian's solo career in WWE.
Yeah, and Christian won a world title.
Mm-hmm.
He was a world champion.
But he didn't have like the same love that the fans showed Edge when he was Edge,
Yeah, I just don't know if I use the word like legend for Christian. There are probably a couple others in WWE that I'm not naming just because I don't watch WWE, so I'm not thinking of them.
What about Matt Hardy?
Okay, yeah, Matt Hardy, yeah, Jeff Hardy. Yeah, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And my point is there aren't very many. So. it's awesome that he with the pull he has in this industry, he can get people like Matt Cardona, and who knows with this Cope Open, who else we're going to get to see. Very cool, very cool. I'm anxious to see how they're going to use it throughout his title reign. Now that he has the belt and he has it for longer than 11 seconds, I'm anxious to see how they're going to use it.
Do you think he's going to continue with the Cope Opens, and that's going to be how they get challengers for the TNT belt, or do you think
I think that's what he said already. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like the pathway to the TNT belt, or if they were also going to do like scheduled matches.
No, I think he said it's pretty much said that's how he's doing it.
Awesome.
The Cope Open, yeah. I don't know if there will be another way or that's the only way. I feel like he said that's the way he's doing it for challengers. So,
Captain Birdseye 4 says a lot of people think
out of nowhere, a lot of people think AEW is going down the late '90s WCW route. Do you agree? In some ways, I can see yes, I can see where people would say that. And that one, they have a bloated roster, and super bloated roster. But the difference here is they have a happy roster. That's the difference. They have a happy roster of people who want to wrestle. That's the difference. The WCW had guys at the top who were actively trying not to wrestle and still get their big paychecks. Here they have guys who love wrestling and still want the big paychecks. So that's a big difference there. But they do both have bloated rosters. The booking in AEW sometimes is great. The matchups, a lot of times they don't get credit. I mean, the matchups are really great a lot of the time. 90% of the time are great. But when it comes to the storylines, sometimes it can be frustrating, because sometimes things start and then stop, or they start and stop and then start up again. And that's kind of the booking you would see in WCW at the end, where you kind of lose fan trust when you don't stick with your booking. You don't stick with the stories you're trying to tell. You lose the trust of your fans and the interest of your fans, because if you don't stick with the story you're trying to tell, that there's really people are going to tune out. And then they figure they've seen one angle that got ended early. They're like, why should I invest my time in this angle? It's just going to end stupidly like this other angle, or it's not even going to have an end like that other angle didn't have an end, like WCW, like who drove the Humvee and shit like that.
They also don't have creative control in their contracts, do they?
Who?
What,
AEW? AEW, no.
Yeah, because that was a big problem with WCW is people wouldn't lose, right? Asa? That was a big problem in WCW, right? Like people wouldn't want to lose, and so they'd say no to matches.
Right. Yeah. That was a problem.
And as far as
the only people who really had creative control was like Hogan. Yeah. But there were a lot of other people who would just say no, who would act like they had creative control when they didn't.
Yeah, and as far as like happiness backstage and CM Punk goes, like if you read any of the interviews that they've done post CM Punk, they kind of talk about how like a cloud has lifted off of the locker room with him leaving. And so I think he was maybe more part of the problem than part of the solution.
But that's about as much as we're going to talk about all that. That's a different. We we got a lot planned to talk about tonight, and that's a different show for a different day.
Mhm.
And that's something we may do a show about one day,
Yeah.
kind of comparing the two. But that's not what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for your question, though.
Yeah, thanks for your question. It's an interesting question to look at for sure. Yeah. Well, and I think I was pretty much done. This has been a closer look at Adam Copeland. And so now we're gonna do a segment called "Where's This Going?" And so this is a segment where we take things that happened on AEW television this past week and we ask the question, "Where's this going?" So let's get started. So first on Dynamite, we had Hook kind of become the mentee to Chris Jericho's mentor, and where Chris Jericho said, I'll take, Chris Jericho said, come to me anytime you like for advice, and I'll help you out. And Hook said, oh, that's cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. Where's this going, Kay? What do you think?
That's a great question. Because the whole thing is like, why did this need to be said in a segment with an interviewer in the back? Like, why does this need to be said? Does Chris Jericho not let anyone else ever ask him any questions? Like, it just seemed odd. And so the thing that I'm currently thinking that I have literally just come up with right now is that maybe when Sammy comes back from suspension, there's going to be like some discord between Sammy and Hook about like who Jericho has under his wing, and maybe that can lead to a Sammy Hook feud. That's the only thing I can possibly think of. And plus a Sammy and Hook feud would be awesome. What do you think?
I hadn't even considered Sammy coming back, because who knows when the hell he's coming back.
I don't know. 30-day suspension.
Was it 30 days?
It was 30 days.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how long's it been? Do we know?
Nope. It was like the first week in March, I want to say, that when he had that match with Hardy.
Yeah, with Jeff Hardy, yeah. Wow, March was fucking long.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Jesus Christ. That feels like that was 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus. That's a long time. March took for fucking ever then, man. Wow.
31 whole days.
That's fucked up. Anyway, that's an interesting thought that you had. That you may be right in that. That may be exactly where they're going. It makes more sense than anything I've thought of. The only thing I've thought of is just a very tired, played out story of Hook gets good, he gets good too fast. Jericho, kind of thinks, oh, what have I done? And you know what I mean? I don't want this guy to be better than me and eclipse my legacy. And Jericho then tries to kind of break him before he becomes great.
But that wouldn't make sense, because he's already better than Jericho, because he just beat Jericho. And cleanly in a match. He pinned him.
Well, but that is, 20, that's like 20, whatever his age is, 24-year-old Hook versus 53-year-old Jericho.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying he's going to surpass Jericho's greatness at like Jericho's peak.
Yeah.
I see.
He's not fighting prime Jericho. It's like prime Hook versus old man Jericho.
Okay. Well, I just thought when you meant like surpass him, I thought you meant now. But
No.
Like at his peak.
Yeah. Surpass the legend of Chris Jericho. Yeah. You don't get what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. I just don't see that.
You don't see that happening?
No.
Oh. Well, that's where I thought.
Because how does he present that idea without saying like, I'm not good anymore? Like how does Jericho make that story happen without
Well, I think we've been seeing that story already, that he's not at his best. I mean, he got destroyed by Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that. He's been beaten by Hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got beaten by someone else that he shouldn't have. Who was it? The guy, you know, what's his name? The guy who drinks the fucking bottles of water all at once. What's his name?
Oh, Action Andretti.
Action Andretti. He got beaten by him.
That's what you know him for.
He got beaten by him.
That was awesome.
In his, you know, like, what was his debut match or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've seen the Jericho, his abilities going, you know, decreasing. That's the story they've been telling over time. If you've been paying attention, they've been telling that story intentionally. You know, which is very interesting. It's been a long-term story they've been telling. And now this is part of that story as well. So where's it all going? So this is part of where it's all going. I feel like this is a big part of where that story is all going. We're getting to where all that was going. All those losses to Andretti and to Hobbs and to whomever else, where all that was going. I feel like we're getting there now with this Hook story.
I just don't understand how Jericho approaches the situation. Like, let's say Hook vastly improves under Jericho and is now like a contender for the heavyweight belt or whatever. How does Jericho approach him in conversation about this to be upset without speaking poorly about himself as a wrestler, which is not something I think Jericho would do? Like, I'm going to turn on you because I'm not as good as I used to be, and now you're better than I once was. Like, a wrestler who still wants to wrestle and kind of be in, like, the top isn't going to say that on television.
He doesn't have to say it. He just has to do it. He just has to beat him. He just has to find a way to defeat Hook. That's all he has to do.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He doesn't have to say that at all.
Yeah.
To anyone. He just has to beat Hook.
I like mine better.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Do you like mine better?
No. No, I don't. No. I like mine better. So who knows where it's going? Yours could be correct. That maybe that's a short-term booking answer. Mine's kind of a long-term booking look at what it could be. Either one could be right, or
it doesn't have to be short-term, because it can be like he has both of these kids under his wing and he's helping them along, and so they have like series of matches with other people that he's guiding them, and then one of them gets jealous, probably Sammy, that the other one's getting more attention, like siblings, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sibling rivalry, except they're not related. I bet it can be as drawn out or as short term as you want.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a good story. I'm not saying yours isn't a good story. Like, wouldn't be a good story. I think it would. I think it would be.
Plus, it would give Sammy something to do. They haven't been doing anything with him.
Yeah, and he's talented. I love
He's
Sammy.
awesome.
I love Sammy Guevara. I think he's underrated, if anything. Like, he gets a bad rap on the internet wrestling community, as it's called. You know, for some reason, I think a lot of people don't like him. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Well, his like initial character wasn't likable because he was a heel, so that might be part of it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But when he returns from suspension, he will be the only current remaining pillar of AEW still on the active roster, because we got 2 injured and 1 banished.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if they did something with him.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it would. All right, my next question here. Where's this going? The Young Bucks made it very much their intent very plainly their intent to distract Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta this past week, and they're facing off in the semifinals of the World Tag Team Title Tournament. And so they're fighting for a place at the Dynasty pay-per-view. So who wins this match, the Young Bucks or Orange and Trent?
I really hope it's the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Yes. Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy are not a tag team. They're in the same stable. They have tagged together on occasion. That is not the tag team. The tag team is Chuck Taylor. Yes, I recognize that he is injured. But it's like with Ricky Starks and Big Bill. I don't like it when makeshift tag teams beat real tag teams that are supposed to have chemistry and synergy and have a name or have moves. They have a finisher, a team finisher. You know, like, I don't care for that.
Yeah.
And so while I don't want the Young Bucks to get the belts again, I really hope they win. What do you think?
No, I'm the same way. I want, not for the same reason, but I want the Young Bucks to win. I love their current gimmick. I think it's great. I think it's going great.
Yeah, I want Young Bucks to win, and I want Top Flight to win, and then I want Top Flight to win the tournament.
Yeah, you think it's their time?
No, but I think it's close to their time, and I think it's done being FTR and the Young Bucks' time.
Really?
And
Just something new. You just want something new.
I just want something new. I want them. I mean, like, they kind of got their belts on old people right now. They're men's belts.
Yeah, Samoa Joe and
Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland.
And so.
Well, Hook's got the FTW.
Oh yeah, and Roderick Strong, but
Roderick
he's older, isn't he?
Roderick Strong's older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And FTW is not a real championship. It's an what's it called? Unofficial or something?
It's unofficial.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think I feel like they're almost ready, and I feel like they can prove that they're ready once they have the belts. And by beating the Young Bucks, I think that would help too. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be nice to have like an underdog win that actually meant something.
Yeah.
Because they do like random underdog wins occasionally, but usually it doesn't go anywhere, with the exception being Big Bill and Ricky Starks winning the tag belts, which was stupid.
I liked it when they won.
I hated it.
Who did they beat? FTR?
They beat FTR.
They beat FTR.
Yeah. An injured, tired FTR, according to FTR, but still, it was stupid.
I liked it because it was the like you're talking about. It was an upset, you know.
I don't have a problem with an upset. I have a problem with two people that have like basically never wrestled together before beating FTR, who has been together forever.
Yeah. And
has been at the top of the tag team wrestling game forever.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I agree. I could maybe be for Top Flight. I mean, it's nice to see new things. Yeah, to try new things. I'm with you. I could see that. I'm either for them or the Young Bucks, I think, at this point. Yeah. All right, next. Kyle O'Reilly on Dynamite said he needs to prove he belongs. What's he talking about? Where's this going? So he's got most of the Undisputed Kingdom coming out after every match and partying with him. Mm-hmm. He's got Roderick Strong and the Kingdom coming out after every match and congratulating him.
I think it would have been Adam Cole also if he wasn't in a wheelchair or on crutches, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you think? I mean, like, I think so.
I think so, probably, yeah.
You know what I don't love about this? I don't watch NXT, but I know, like, there was the Undisputed something or other in NXT with Roderick Strong and Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. And, like...
The Undisputed Era.
Yeah. I just don't want them to rely on old, run-out WWE stories
Mhm.
to make their stories interesting.
Right. I agree.
Like,
I
that
agree.
is 100% something they do not need to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And I get that, like, people who loved the Undisputed Era and loved NXT would love to see these people back together. But, like, even putting the word Undisputed with it, that was dumb. That was a dumb thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because
Yeah.
all you're doing is making people think about WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even watch it, and that's what it makes me think of. Because I have heard about it so much from other AEW fans who love NXT. I just feel like it's not a good look for your company. So as far as where this is going, I don't think Roderick Strong is going to join them. Not Roderick Strong. Kyle O'Reilly is going to join them. But it's so weird for like multiple reasons why they're doing this. You know, like this is supposed to be their big bad faction of like the devil and his minions. And they're like, oh, we're so glad you did such a great job. Want to come hang out with us? You know, like it just seems counterintuitive for their characters. Like, counterproductive, rather, for like the story they've been telling. Like now, all of a sudden, the Kingdom and Roderick Strong are super nice to this one guy.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't jive with what they were trying to portray them as like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And so the belonging. Who's he trying to prove he belongs? Who's he trying to prove that to? The fans?
Probably, because I mean, like I told you when he first came back, like I really only saw him in a tag team with Bobby Fish, because I didn't watch NXT, and I like when I started watching AEW, he was part of that tag team, and then when Bobby Fish left, he got injured, or it might even happen before he left. I'm not sure. So like I've only seen him wrestle solo, I think once before he came back. And so I would assume it's the fans that he's trying to prove that he belongs. Because if you didn't watch NXT, you might not know what he's like in the ring by himself.
I don't even need to give an answer. Those answers were interesting enough.
Oh, thanks.
Next, on Collision this week, we got a sneak peek of something just for several seconds, and the fans went wild over it. And that was seeing TNT champion Adam Copeland in the ring with Malachi Black. So are we going to get a singles match of Adam Copeland and Malachi Black? What do you think?
You never said in your recap that match was announced for Dynasty. Did you?
I don't think I did.
Yeah. So
that six man's
announced
for Dynasty.
Yeah. So it's the House of Black, the three male members, and then Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe are facing them. And yeah, I think that we're getting that match eventually. But I think it makes sense to like let something build to it. You know, as much as fans want it right now, I think it will mean more when he's like faced off or had some interactions with House of Black at least. As far as I know, this is the first time he's really interacted with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not big on story. Like I would be fine with them just wrestling right away because the wrestling would be awesome. But I think to make the where's the story people shut up, they need to have a story. Do you disagree?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
I should be doing my show by myself with all my opinions.
Yeah, I would love to see Copeland versus Black. I mean, that would be a money match. That would be awesome.
I'm glad they're not doing it right now. You know, I think it's a smart move. Like, put it at Double or Nothing or something. Like, have some tension build for at least a month. Like,
build to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But eventually do it. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Copeland and Black. Because I don't I'm not sure. I don't think they've ever fought before.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I'm not sure because they were in WWE at the same time, I think, right? For a little bit.
I don't think so.
Really?
They would have like just missed each other.
Maybe.
Because he came back during a Royal Rumble, right?
Yeah, a Royal Rumble. I remember what year now.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, me there.
2000 something.
Yeah, so maybe, who knows?
I don't know. Nonetheless, it would be a big match. Yeah, it'd be a big match. I would love to see Copeland and Black.
Because even if they've wrestled before, this would be a match with like the reins taken off. You know?
Yeah. All right, here's another one. We got a feud going. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, the AEW World Trios Champions, and Bullet Club Gold, the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Champions. Where's this going?
So I don't know. I know where a lot of people think it's going, and I hope they're wrong.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think this is going to unify the belts.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want that. Because I want Ring of Honor to have belts, you know? At least they got their Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship back, I guess. But I love the 6-man on Ring of Honor. I hope they don't get rid of those. Because I think if they unify them, they're not going to unify them to the Ring of Honor 6-man belts. They're going to unify them to the AEW Trios belts.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. The AEW Trios division is like
sparse,
dead, pretty much. I don't know what happened to it. It was for a short bit. It was the best thing on the show.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because they had
the Lucha Elite. Brothers. They had the Elite
Death
versus
Triangle.
Death Triangle. Yeah.
They had LFI who are injured. They had Briscoe and the FTR for a while, or CM Punk and FTR for a while. But even when the Trios champions were like hot, we were complaining because we always complain now. Because there was no tag matches on. You know, like the shows aren't long enough to have super important story progressing belt matches like every week. You know. And I feel like when they focus and like hone in on one championship set, they like drop the ball on everything else they've been doing. Or at least that's how it has been in the past. Where am I going with this? So yeah, I don't know if they're going to unify the belts or not. I kind of wish they would just leave the Ring of Honor belts on Ring of Honor.
I tell you one thing I see happening here. I see Daddy Ass turning on the Acclaimed.
Do you know how many hearts that would break?
I know. But
I think you're probably right.
That's what I see happening. That's what I see happening. For sure. I see that happening.
I thought it was going to happen a really long time ago, so like I kind of just gave up on that, but I bet you're right.
Yeah, that's why I see it happening. All of a sudden, Billy Gunn is getting microphone time on Collision. Yeah, you can't fool me. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is turning on them. Yeah. So I guess he's going to join the Bullet Club Gold. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he'll go out and do his own thing. I don't see him retiring. Really, it doesn't. Looks like he can still wrestle to me. Mm-hmm. So maybe he'll join the Bullet Club Gold, and it'll be his sons and him and Jay White.
Who was it that said they wanted to retire Billy Gunn? And it was like, no one said anything about him retiring. Who was that? It was like in an interview. Was that Will Ospreay?
I don't know.
It was after Revolution.
I don't know.
With like Sting's retirement match, like in the interview. I think it was Ospreay. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
But unifying the belts, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know what they do in Ring of Honor because, frankly, I don't watch it except for the pay-per-views. And AEW, they don't hardly have any trios matches, so why even bother with the belts anymore? Is the way I feel. I say either have a trios division or don't. You know, I like 6-man tag matches. I think they're exciting. I like them a lot. You know, it's like a Mexican tradition. Get some luchadors in there and have 3-on-3 matches and light it up. You could have some great stuff going on as they have before. But it seems like they just don't want to. So if they don't want to, just get rid of the belts.
Well, they just need to put them back in Ring of Honor. The trios belts and the tag belts. They never get defended on AEW television. So why are they on AEW Superstars or whatever they're called, wrestlers? When they could be in Ring of Honor where they belong. Doesn't make any sense. But you did not ask the most important question about this storyline.
What?
What is up with Max Caster and why is he not rapping?
Yeah.
Just like that.
I don't know. Well, he got what's the word when like super liberals go after you for hurting their feelings with your words?
Canceled? Attacked?
I don't know. Attacked. He got attacked by the super liberals a couple times over his raps.
And you think that they just pulled the plug on it?
Yes, I do. I think that it seems that.
Is that why they had him like intentionally messing up the raps?
I feel like it.
That was a stupid way to go. He should have just dropped it.
Yeah,
looks unprofessional the way they did it.
I feel like that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Because like if you looked at London's face, London, Ontario, the face in the crowds when they came out, and he did not have a microphone and was not rapping. Like everyone was looking around, like, what's happening? And they looked very displeased.
It's sad.
Yeah,
it is sad.
It was one of my favorite parts about the Acclaimed.
Yeah, it used to be one of the most enjoyable parts of an AEW show.
And it was also how I often got my news.
That's sad. That is pathetic. Pathetic.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your transition to the next topic.
No, that's fine. My next topic is well, we'll talk about that later. Toni Storm and Mariah May. Where's this going? So there's a number 1 contenders match where they could face each other at Dynasty, and on Dynamite this week they kissed, and every once in a while, Mariah May is dressing up exactly like Toni Storm. What in the hell is going on here with these two?
Well, she was dressed as Toni Storm in the interview when Toni kissed her.
Okay, so what is going on with these two? What's happening here? You know?
Toni kind of explained it in the interview. She said, "You are me, and I love me so much." So I mean, I think Toni kind of views her as like a pet. You know, like a.
You said Tony Khan, I think.
Is it? I said Toni. Oh, sorry, Toni Storm.
Toni Storm.
Yeah, Tony Khan does not view her as a pet because he's not that man. Toni Storm. And so yes, this is obviously headed at some point for a feud and breakup of this pair, but I don't think that's where it's headed right now. Like, I don't think Mariah May is beating Thunder Rosa. I really hope not.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see them ditching this pair right now. It's too interesting to break them up. Yeah, it's too interesting to break them up. That's what I think.
Yeah, me too.
So I think Thunder Rosa is definitely winning that match.
Plus, that's like a ready-made story. Like, you don't need time to build it because the story's already there with Thunder Rosa and Toni. So,
Yeah.
like, when your pay-per-view's on the 21st and it's the 1st right now, you don't need time to build it to the 21st. Like, you can just go for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I'll be shocked if Mariah May wins that number one contender match. Yeah. All right. And that has been Where's This Going? So now it's time for the top five. The top five, the AEW top five. Every week we sweat and slave to bring you the top 5 men, the top 5 women, and the top 5 teams in AEW. We have a secret process. We have a proprietary ranking formula that we use, and it's for 100% accuracy. We will never reveal it. We'll never disclose it, no matter what you say or do to us, so don't even try to get it. So what should we start with? Okay, men, women, or teams?
We've been talking about teams. Let's start with teams.
Teams. Number 5, Katsuyori Shibata, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli. They got the win in the main event of Collision. Number 4, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. They're in the semifinals of the World Tag Team Title Tournament. Who would they just beat? They just beat somebody on.
They beat the Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, because a thrown together tag team can beat the tag team champions of Ring of Honor. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Number 3. Back in the top 5 after being out for several weeks. Top Flight. They go in and out. So the team we kind of both want to see win the tournament. It would be the most interesting team to win the tournament for sure. Will they win? I don't know. But they're number 3. They just beat who they beat.
Who?
Top Flight. Ricky Starks and Big Bill.
Yeah.
Number 2, back in the top 5, FTR. And they beat
the Infantry.
The Infantry, yes. And number 1, back in the top 5, the Young Bucks. Looking good. They've been looking good since they've returned. And they got a win over someone, too. Who'd they beat? Private Party. They beat Private Party. So, again, that's number 1, the Young Bucks. Number 2, FTR. Number 3, Top Flight. Number 4, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Number 5, Katsuyori Shibata, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli. So, yeah, there's only one trios on the top 5, and it isn't even the trios champions. So, yeah.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Okay.
Why wasn't Wardlow at the Undisputed Kingdom match against the Best Friends to make them win?
Why hasn't he been around since he lost?
But like Adam Cole's only decree for Wardlow was like, you're not doing anything now besides making sure we keep our gold.
Yeah.
I mean, was it because their titles weren't on the line? You would think that his job would also be to help them win matches to acquire new gold. But
you would think.
It just seemed odd.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't know.
Okay.
So what's next, men or women?
Let's do men.
Men, number 5. Back in the top 5, Konosuke Takeshita. With his loss to Will Ospreay.
No, Swerve.
Excuse me. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was
Revolution.
That was Revolution. I'm sorry. Konosuke Takeshita with his loss to Swerve in the number 1 contenders match. I'm sorry. Number 4, back in the top 5, Will Ospreay with his win over Katsuyori Shibata on Dynamite. Number 3, falling 1 spot from number 2, the TNT champion, Adam Copeland, who got the win in defense of his belt, beating Matt Cardona on Collision this week. Number 2, up 3 spots from number 5, the new number 1 contender, Swerve Strickland. And number 1, staying number 1 for many weeks in a row, Samoa Joe, the AEW World Champion. Hasn't had a match in a while, but he's been our number 1 for a while.
Since Revolution.
He's been our number 1 since before Revolution.
No, he hasn't had a match since Revolution.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the women. Oh, excuse me. Well, let me run down. So that's number 1, Samoa Joe. Number 2, Swerve Strickland. Number 3, Adam Copeland. Number 4, Will Ospreay. Number 5, Konosuke Takeshita. And the women. Number 5, the same as she was last week, Mariah May. Back on the list at number 4, Chris Statlander. She participated in the loss, actually, in the TBS title number 1 contenders match. Number 3, up 1 spot from number 4, is the lady who won the TBS title number 1 contenders match, and that's Willow Nightingale. Number 2, back in the top 5, is the lady who's going to be participating in the world title number 1 contenders match, and that is Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
And number 1, staying number 1 for many weeks, Toni Storm, the AEW Women's World Champion. So that's number 1, Toni Storm. Number 2, Thunder Rosa. Number 3, Willow Nightingale. Number 4, Chris Statlander. And number 5, Mariah May. And those are your AEW top 5s for the week of April 1st, 2024. And up next, we have Wrestling Fashion Do's and Don'ts with Kay Fabulous. Okay?
First off, I want to give a shout out to Mindrunner, who made us an awesome graphic that we haven't figured out how to use yet. But we appreciate the love and thank you for the awesome job. We will incorporate it into our show as soon as we figure out how to do that.
Yeah. As soon as we make any effort to make our show visually pleasing.
We just thought our beautiful faces would be enough.
Yeah. At some point, very soon, I believe, we're going to be incorporating graphics and music into the show. I would say.
Don't put a timeline on it.
I'm not going to put a timeline.
Okay.
I would say soon. Within the next couple weeks, yes. Though, we'll be incorporating music and graphics into our show, though. So keep an eye out for that.
And on to fashion.
Don't.
If you are an EVP, don't show up to your interview with questionable facial hair and a suit that is a yellow monochromatic nightmare like Nicholas Jackson.
Do.
If you are a CEO, do saunter over to the announcer's table with hair that is like orange sherbet, cotton candy, mermaids, and magic all rolled into one, like Mercedes Moné.
Don't.
If you are wrestling in a tag team match, don't wear black and white gear that matches your opponents, like Trent Beretta. So confusing. So confusing.
That's very confusing. Do.
If you are an American dragon, do prove it to the world by having maroon dragon scales all over your jacket, like Bryan Danielson.
Do.
If you are a AEW backstage interviewer, do sport a cute corset top, like both Renee Paquette and Lexi Nair.
Don't.
If you are absolute, don't dress in a black leather vest like a leather daddy from the Village People, like Ricky Starks.
Do.
If you are in a tag tournament, do show support for your team in the women's NCAA tournament by wearing purple boots like Big Bill. And that is this week's Fashion's Do's and Don'ts.
Thank you, Kay. We appreciate it, as we do every week. Keeping us in the know, what to wear, what not to wear in the world of wrestling. And now it's time, I'm being told. Yep. It's the AEW News Roundup. AEW Collision has a new time slot for April 6th. That is this Saturday. It will air at 11:30 p.m. that night due to the NCAA Final Four games. So it will air after the Final Four games and also after WrestleMania. If you're watching WrestleMania and want to have a long night of wrestling, you can also watch Collision. I think personally, I will probably be watching the Final Four games and then Collision.
I'm going to watch the Final Four games and then go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts at 11:30.
Yeah.
I'm staying up till 12:30.
Yeah.
Just watch it tomorrow, like the next day.
Yeah, that may be what I do, actually. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do, actually. Jim Ross's new book called Business is About to Pick Up to be released May 7th. The book will cover 50 iconic calls in wrestling history. Should be cool. Read one of his books, The Man... Oh, God, I'm going to fuck up the title.
Isn't it The Man in the Black Hat?
Is it The Man Under the Black Hat? The Man in the Black Hat?
Do you want me to go look? It's over there.
No, it's not. It's upstairs.
Oh, okay, then never mind. It's called something with a black hat.
Yeah. Very good book. Very good book.
This is, I believe, at least his third.
He's written
right?
several, yeah. That one was about his time in the WWE, and it was very good. Wheeler, Yuta, not cleared for AEW versus CMLL match at Homenaje a dos Leyendas. He was replaced by Matt Sydal. Yuta is suffering an undisclosed injury and hasn't wrestled since January 10th. So good wishes to Wheeler Yuta to get well soon, definitely. Nigel McGuinness said on Wrestling Weekly recently that he got back inside a ring again and felt, quote, perfectly okay. The 48-year-old hadn't wrestled since 2011. In 2018, he stated on Twitter that despite rumors his retirement was not due to injuries. And there's much rumor that Nigel McGuinness is coming out of retirement to fight Bryan Danielson, perhaps at All In.
Yeah, if you pay attention to commentary on Collision, he goes after Bryan Danielson pretty hard anytime that he's on stage or in the ring.
AEW officially announces hiring of Kosha Irby for new COO position. Irby worked for WWE from 2011 through 2017 as their regional director of live events. In AEW, his responsibilities include the oversight of all strategic planning and execution of live events, marketing, finance, HR, licensing, consumer products, and other major lines of business for the company. Sounds like a busy fucking man.
Yeah, didn't
Jesus
it sound
Christ.
like that's like 10 different positions that they mushed into one?
Sounds like an impossible job.
They better be paying them in a lot.
In a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet, Mike Santana said he was, quote, just burnt out by the time he got injured in AEW's 2022 Blood and Guts match. Santana said he had decided to leave AEW prior to the knee injury he suffered, and that he didn't want to be, quote, just another guy on the roster. He is now in TNA. And just another guy on the roster there.
So far, he just joined.
So far, just another guy on the roster. AEW's next 3 pay-per-views will be available on 2 different platforms in the United States. After after years of BR Live being the sole provider for domestic streaming, the next 3 will also be available on Triller, that's formerly known as Fight. This will be for Dynasty, Double or Nothing, and Forbidden Door. AEW later announced Dynasty will also be available for purchase on YouTube and ppv.com. So that's pretty cool. Different ways to buy their pay-per-views can only mean more buys. So good news for AEW. Their pay-per-views already do pretty well with buys. So good for them. AEW announces that AEW Double or Nothing will be on May 26th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Heavyweight title is official for AEW Dynasty. AEW revealed their new official rankings on Wednesday following Dynamite, but you don't need to really see those as you have our rankings.
Vastly superior.
Vastly superior. This week, AEW Dynamite averaged 747,000 viewers, down 6.6% from last week. This is Wednesday night Dynamite's lowest viewership since April 7th, 2021. Not good. They drew a .23 rating in the 18 through 49 demographic. That's down 14.8% from last week. Not good. Show's lowest Wednesday demo rating since June 24th, 2020. All of this is bad.
2020.
It was up against 2 NBA games. That's all. So these numbers are bad. I mean, they're good. I mean, 747,000 viewers is good, but the pattern of decline is very bad.
Mm-hmm.
In the new edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer gave a status update on Kenny Omega. Quote, while no decision has been made, it looks more likely than not that Kenny Omega will be getting surgery on his intestines. Omega has been out since December with a life-threatening case of diverticulitis. His condition has improved, but 2 doctors have recommended surgery to remove the perforated parts of his intestines and colon. Matt Hardy has been offered a new AEW contract. Matt Hardy says the contract offer is for, quote, a few years. Matt is still weighing his options and said he should have an answer within the next month. Team CMLL, Mystico, Volador Jr., Blue Panther, and Ultimo Hio defeated Team AEW of Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, and Matt Sydal on Friday night in Arena Mexico. After the match, Danielson issued a challenge to Blue Panther for Friday night's Arena Mexico show on April 5th. Blue Panther accepted.
It's Ultimo Grio. I don't know if you couldn't read the handwriting.
Ultimo Grio, yeah. I'm trying to read Kay's handwriting, so if I sound like there's something wrong with me while I'm reading the news, it's because I'm trying to read her handwriting. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. It's her handwriting.
That's true.
AEW Tag Team Title Tournament semifinals set. Young Bucks versus the Best Friends. Then that's of course, the team of Beretta and Cassidy on Wednesday. FTR versus Top Flight, date to be determined. Also set for Wednesday is Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May, #1 contendership for the World Women's title. And also on Wednesday, Battle of Wills. Will Ospreay versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Ricky Starks says he's, quote, all good following AEW Collision injury scare. Starks took a Pele kick to the back of the head, then failed to kick out of a pin he was supposed to kick out of during the match. Starks got checked out after the match, and everything was fine. Matt Cardona says he finally wrestled his dream match by accepting Adam Copeland's Cope Open Challenge on Saturday night's AEW Collision. He said that Edge was one of his favorite wrestlers growing up and used to have imaginary matches against him in his bedroom and on his trampoline as a child. Although their careers have been linked since 2007, they never had the opportunity to face each other until now. That's very cool.
Can you imagine getting to wrestle like the guy you were literally pretending to wrestle in your bedroom as a child?
No.
Like that actually happening?
No.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. For me, it would have been everyone. I used to pretend to be everyone and wrestle everyone in my bedroom.
So if you can just wrestle anyone at some point, then you will have achieved your dream?
Yes. I would change my style up. You know, whatever wrestler I was, I would change my style up to face whatever opponent I was wrestling. Which would be my pillow, you know.
I did not pretend to wrestle anyone in my room.
Beat the shit out of my pillow.
I kicked some Ninja Turtles' butts, though. I will tell you that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I loved April O'Neil. Not Ninja Turtle, but the Shredder's butt. Not Shredder. What's the bad guy? The one with the...
Shredder.
Shredder, yeah, okay, yeah. It's been a while for me and the Turtles. Sorry.
Well, like this big? That big?
Huh?
This big? How big?
What do you mean, how big?
The little plastic figures this big?
No, it was imaginary. Me and my friend, like, my best friend would be Michelangelo, and I would be April O'Neil, and we would beat up the imaginary bad guys and defeat Shredder.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a Shredder toy or something.
No, imaginary. These are imaginary scenarios.
I see.
Yes.
AEW wrestler Ortiz is undergoing surgery in 2 weeks on a torn pectoral muscle. He hasn't wrestled since January 20th. He said he tore it doing a clothesline. The recovery time post-surgery is 4 months. After revealing all of this in an interview for Isaiah Cassidy's vlog, the pair worked commentary for Ethan Page's Alpha One wrestling promotion in Hamilton, Canada, where Ortiz also served as a guest referee. That's pretty cool. And that's all the news. But folks, we have one new segment for you tonight, and I think we're gonna have some more new segments for you in the weeks to come. We're trying to keep things fresh for you, yeah. So I think we're gonna bring segments in and out. This next segment is called "Killing It" and "Let It Die." So we're going to read something. How are we going to do this? No, wait.
So we're going to tell you stuff that AEW is doing right now that's killing it, and then stuff that AEW is doing right now that we wish they would just let die.
Yeah.
And never happen again.
So am I going to do the killing it stuff?
You can pick which one you want to do.
I'll do the killing it stuff.
Okay. And we can discuss them if you want, or you can just list them. It's up to you.
Killing it. The women's division. We can discuss them briefly.
Yeah.
We've got a long show going here.
Yeah.
Women's division, killing it, and with Mercedes Moné and
with everyone.
Everyone's
That's
doing
why it's
great.
like so non-specific, just like the whole.
Everyone except
division.
Anna Jay. Yeah.
Yes, everyone except Anna Jay.
Doing great.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, doing good, improving. The ones who aren't great are improving. The ones who are great are doing great.
We got multiple storylines going. They're starting to weave into each other. Love it.
Love it. Yep. Good job. Introductory use of new talent. Killing it. Talking about, we're looking at you, Okada,
Osprey.
with the fucking Continental Championship
Yeah.
already.
Mhm.
We're looking at you, Osprey,
Mhm.
who should have a belt already. Give that
Mhm.
man a belt. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And Mercedes.
Osprey, Mercedes, yeah, have all been introduced, and we got this new feeling in AEW already. And that's what makes it just very short. That's what makes the ratings so bizarre to me, is that the show Dynamite, at least, the shows are so good. Dynamite has been so good lately, and the ratings keep going down. They keep decreasing. It's just utterly bizarre to me.
Like, I'd say Dynamite's been on a run where the show has, like, never been better in a streak like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. Yeah, and a streak just of great shows. Yeah. And I know it's fucking better than Raw. I don't watch Raw, but I know it's better than Raw. Because I see things that happen on Raw, so I know it's better than Raw.
And we used to watch Raw.
Yeah, and I used to watch Raw,
because
and
it
I
was
stopped,
bad.
so I know what's on Raw, and so that's how I know what's on
And it's
Raw.
3
Yeah, that's how I know it's better. So yeah, I don't understand the ratings. Yeah. Anyways, killing it. Match flow throughout the card. So really killing it. Tony Khan's booking the match flow, doing a very good job of making the card feel right from match 1 to the main event, making things feel as though they have a build, as though they should, from match 1 to match 8 or whatever.
Yeah. Really, since Revolution, I feel like the flow has been really good. Revolution, that women's match was poorly placed, which like kind of threw off the feeling for a little while of the show. But I feel like since then, he's really righted the ship.
Killing it. Putting Ian Riccoboni on the Collision announce team.
I don't know if it's permanent, but I super hope it is.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I love him.
Getting rid of Kevin Kelly, who was awful, and putting Riccoboni on there. Great job.
He's delightful.
Great job. The new merch and gear that we've been seeing lately, that they've been coming out with. Good job. Much better than in the past. Yeah, much better than in the past. Killing it. So whoever they got designing stuff now finally is starting to come out with stuff that you would actually want to buy. Stuff that's actually appealing. And you would want to spend, because their t-shirts are expensive.
Yeah.
Stuff you would actually want to spend your money on. Because in the past, you would look it up, and you look it up your favorite wrestler, and you look at a shirt, and it's fucking $30. And then you'd be like, well, look at the fucking shirt, look how ugly it is, And then you debate with yourself, is it ugly enough to be cool? It's like, I don't know. And killing it. Fucking Will Ospreay, the god of wrestling. Killing it since his debut. Since he debuted with AEW, he has had only 4.5 bone and 5 bone matches. He's had multiple 5 bone matches. He's had 2 since beginning with AEW, and the rest have been 4.5 bone matches.
2 5-bone matches in 1 month. That might be a record.
Yeah, I think it is. Actually. So he's been killing it. Yeah, no one has ever, even by our rating system, just our rating system, no one has ever had a period like this. So he's killing it. Yeah. He's just doing it. He just came into AEW like a fucking storm, and is making himself and his opponents look like $1 million Bucks. And he's just doing a fantastic job, and he's just amazing. Just amazing. And I got to see him in person, and that was the best match I've ever seen in person. Got to see him against Takeshita at Revolution, the pay-per-view. And that was the best match I've ever seen in person, for sure. Fantastic match. Was it the match at the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was right. Also, killing it. The awesome new Dynamite commercial. The one where they have, there's like a long form one where they have wrestlers talking about their drive and their motivation for why they wrestle, why they train so hard, why they get up at 6 a.m. to do this shit and all that. If you haven't seen it yet, seek it out. Because it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that about commercials. I mute commercials generally, unless I see it's for like a movie or like wrestling or something like that. I mute commercials. But very good commercial for AEW. Yeah. Like I say, it's one with Mercedes Moné and Adam Copeland, and who else is in it?
Julia Hart, Stuart Strickland. Most of their like bigger name people, and like I said, they're talking about like their drive and like why they do this and why they put their bodies through this. Did I say Julia Hart? She's in it. And like the films of like the people talking, the footage is in black and white, but then there's like different color backgrounds that keep changing. It looks very like industrial, like it's them in a gym or them like what looked like a rock quarry, but I'm sure it was like railroad tracks that they were like running on or something. It was very cool.
So I've told you what AEW has been doing that's been killing it, and now Kay is going to tell you what AEW has been doing that they need to let die.
Yeah. So not to end on a downer, but there's some stuff that they do that they need to quit.
Yeah, I just realized that we need to do the killing it last next week. Yeah.
So things AEW needs to let die. This first one, I would like it to die a slow and painful death. Are squash matches, especially on Collision. There used to be a time and place for squash matches, and that was like 30 years ago. So squash matches, especially with the roster they have, totally unnecessary and a waste of everyone's time. So they need to let it die. Something else that AEW needs to let die is the generic sounding entrance music. There are a few exceptions with like super awesome entrance music, like FTR, Julia Hart's, Ospreay's, yeah. Well, he came with that, didn't he? Like, that's not an AEW creation.
Yeah, but nonetheless.
Yeah. But some of them are just terrible. Specifically,
Private Party.
The New Kingdoms. The Kingdom's new entrance music. I hate it with a fiery, burning passion. Because I loved their old entrance music. Anyway, I think that's actually what spawned the idea for Killing It and Let It Die. Was how much I fucking hate the Kingdom's new entrance music. Wow. Yes. Well, that and Will Ospreay being amazing. I just realized like how many times we were saying something was killing it in AEW, and then I thought about how much I want that music to die. Anyway, next on Let It Die, not letting meat men wrestle other meat men. They need to let that die. Stop giving them only squash matches. They proved at Revolution that they can wrestle each other. We proved at Revolution that we want them to wrestle each other.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that AEW needs to let die. Lower card women afraid to get at it. By this, we mean some of their lower card women, they go to punch someone and they stop like 5 inches short of that person. And it is very obvious that they are not hitting them. Or they like come with force and then slow down, which I realize they have to do so they don't punch someone. But they slow down so slowly that like the person has moved on to something else by the time they get there. Very not believable. It makes women's wrestling look weak, and they should stop it. This has improved a lot, but it's still happening. They need to let it die. And then
They need to be willing to take a hit sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Or at least touch the other person.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a punch that still comes in fast and it won't hurt, you know?
If the men can do it and the other upper card women can do it, they can do it.
Yeah.
And last on the list of things that AEW needs to let die, using Collision as the Dynamite prep show. I get that this is a really convenient way to set up your next Wednesday's card, but that is a disservice to not only the Collision audience, but to the Collision wrestlers. Stop using them to set up the good show and just make both shows good shows.
Mm-hmm. It would be nice if we had 2 good shows.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. 3 good shows, counting Rampage.
3 good shows, yeah, right.
And that is AEW killing it and let it die.
I like it. I like the new segment. And we'll like I said, we're going to try some other new segments in the coming weeks. So we'll see. And some others might go away, and we'll see. We'll see what we keep and what we don't. So, folks, thank you for watching tonight. We appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. I assume you did if you stuck with us this long. And make sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button. That makes a big difference. Believe it or not, that makes a huge difference. Please hit like.
Or if you're watching on X or Twitch.
Yeah.
Also, like, subscribe.
Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference for us. Mm-hmm. Hit like. And hit subscribe as well. You won't miss a show. We're going to be coming with new content soon that isn't just a weekly show. So be on the lookout for it. It's coming soon. And it won't just be a weekly show. What will it be? I'm not going to tell you yet, but you'll see. So if you're subscribed, you will get it. We're going to be doing some other shows coming up this spring as well. I'm going to announce those soon. We're going to be doing. We'll be doing some watch-alongs. We did those during the winter months. We're not going to do them as often during spring because we want to get outside.
We like to touch grass.
Yeah, but we will do them. We will do them some because they're fun to do.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know what he's talking about retro wrestling watch-alongs where we watch old pay-per-views together.
Yeah, and they were a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And we used to do them every Sunday. Yeah. We did the Royal Rumbles and several Survivor Series, Halloween Havocs, Starcades, the Best of Stings matches. We'd have a theme every month and go through the month and watch matches every Sunday. So while we're not going to do it every Sunday, we will do it, a couple times here and there. So look out for the announcements of those on X is where we will announce those.
Or just make sure you turn on notifications once you subscribe on YouTube.
Yep.
Also check us out on Spotify and anywhere good podcasts are found because we upload the audio to our shows. So if you're at work and feel like listening to a podcast and want to go back and listen to some old shows, everything is on Spotify.
Yeah, all the way back to episode 1. So you can hear how the show's changed. Show has been different. And also, we used to cover WWE. We used to cover, what else? Ring of Honor. We used to cover Ring of Honor.
Some AML.
Some AML, which is our local independent company.
We did some... We did like a Cody Rhodes documentary review.
We did a Kurt Angle documentary review.
Anyway, that's all on Spotify if you want to check it out.
We should have done one about the damn movie. We'll do one about that
Iron
movie.
Claw?
The Iron Claw. We'll do one about the Iron Claw as well.
We could do Bray Wyatt's too. That's out now.
We will, yes. Oh, good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Anyway.
Anyways. But yeah, so we will be doing one about the Bray Wyatt documentary soon. So watch for that. But yeah, so if you want to go back and listen, that's a great place. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. And as Mick Foley would say, Have a nice day. Bye.